For most kids, it's 4 years of undergraduate degree and then 4 years of the doctorate program. And the thing that's challenging for today is how the evolution of the veterinary program has evolved in the supply and demand economics and companion animal medicine. And a lot of times, most of our students today are opting for companion animal medicine because it's a very lucrative career, and forgetting about food animal medicine. My career, when I was I loved doing everything in vet school, Larry, and I fell in love with working with horses, had a goal to be a world famous equine practitioner, and it didn't quite fill out. So, but I think that what's really, really important for today is where we talk about the opportunity to make sure that we solve the problem of not having enough food animal veterinarians. Every state in the animal production world has the problem, and I'm really proud of the work that the people behind me have done to come up with a really unique Nebraska solution. What we do here in Nebraska in food animal medicine, what we do in animal production agriculture, as I love to say, we feed the world and save the planet. Trade missions to Vietnam and to South Korea and to Japan, our products are #1 in the world. And Nebraska beef is demanded everywhere that we go. The total value of our ag products are over $31 billion, and of that, 52% originate from livestock. Food animal veterinarians work are incredible lockstep with producers. I applaud guys like Dr. Marshall that have worked their whole life helping producers in Nebraska be incredibly successful. And the food animal world is vital to the security and vital to our industry and our economy of our state. So the folks that are joining me today are going to talk more about the scholarship program that we'll be soon accepting applications to. And let me just kind of finish with a couple things I'm incredibly proud about with this program. #1, it's a Nebraska solution, the Nebraska way that's really going to solve the problem quickly. #2, that it's going to benefit students who will complete their degrees, and it also requires a commitment to serve as a large animal veterinarian in rural Nebraska. That's going to benefit our communities, and there's not a shadow of a doubt that this program is going to be a game changer, brought to the fruition of a small group of folks behind me in Nebraska veterinarians, and grateful to the legislature, Senator Ibaugh, with passing where we've gotten the $2 million grant last year, and to the Department of Labor and the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And it's certainly our hope that providing the pathway to earn this degree will give the students the ability to pay off their school debt, that will help them cultivate and retain our best and brightest in this field, which is essential for us to feed the world and save the planet like we do here in Nebraska. So first, as we've got a few folks that will share a few remarks, start off with President Chris Kaborik. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Well, I just want to first thank Governor Pillen for bringing us together for this really, really exciting announcement. We are so excited about this partnership. I appreciate everybody on the University of Nebraska leadership team, Chancellor Bennett, Vice President Boehm, but more importantly, I want to recognize Dean Tiffany Heng-Moss for her leadership in this effort. I can't say how fortunate Nebraska is to have her leading our College of Agriculture, and I look forward to working with her on this item. As the governor said, when we talk about how the state and the university can work together to benefit Nebraska, the Elite 11 program is exactly the kind of program we have in mind. This new scholarship will create opportunities for Nebraska kids to go to college, start a great veterinarian career right here in Nebraska. It's going to address a major workforce need in Nebraska's most important industry, And that's something close to my heart as a kid growing up in Davis City from a farming family. And most importantly, if you heard me, I want to go compete. And this is the kind of program we need to go compete for Nebraska kids. I know the governor and I, our leadership team at the university, are completely aligned around a goal for Nebraska to keep our homegrown talent in Nebraska. You know, this is my 60th day on the job as the interim president, the most privilege of a lifetime. And I met with a lot of people. And it doesn't matter whether I'm talking to Nebraskans in rural communities or urban communities, whether it's parents or students, business leaders, community leaders, everyone agrees Nebraska needs more workforce and that we need to compete for our own kids. And the Elite 11 program is exactly the Nebraska solution that we need. And we're going to step up our game. And I could not be more pleased that we are working hard to answer the governor's call to send a message to our kids that we want them on Team Nebraska. And we're going to do everything we can to create opportunities for them to chase their dreams right here in our great state. So, Governor Pillen, thanks again for investing in Nebraska talent. We can't wait to welcome the first cohort of students to our campus, because I know this program is going to have a lasting impact, not only on the university, but our state, and most importantly, Nebraska agriculture. Thanks again.
Thank you, Chris. Next, I'd like to introduce Vice Chancellor Mike Boehm. Appreciate your support and you being here today, Mike.
Thanks, Governor Pillen. This is a really special day. It's an idea that candidly came out of a listening session in North Platte, where we had the chance to hear from rural serving veterinarians about this critical need. Of course, it's something we've realized for quite some time. Across America today, about 13% of the students who go and pursue a DVM, a veterinary degree, only 13% go into that believing that they are going to work with food animals. And of course, we want to change that. And so, Governor, thank you for the partnership with your university. And Larry, thanks to you representing the veterinarians that we've been working with. Two things about this program that I just am really excited, as Chancellor Bennett, our UNL Chancellor, likes to say, keep the main thing, and the main things are students. So anytime we can focus on learners and thinking about their success and trajectory, that's pretty amazing. And the second thing is the land grant mission of our university, where we think about teaching and learning, research, discovery, innovation, entrepreneurship, and extension and engagement. And this program allows us to do both of those things. So, Governor, thank you. This is a special day.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Dr. Boehm. And next, a privilege to introduce Tiffany Hang-Moss, Dean of College of Ag Science and Natural Resources. Tiffany and her team been working very hard developing the plan, and really excited to have it come to fruition with your leadership. Tiffany, please come on.
Well, good afternoon. The College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources is appreciative of the governor and the state's ongoing commitment and investment in the Nebraska Ag Complex. And one example of this investment is in the Elite 11 Veterinarian Initiative. This is a new initiative, and it's the first of its kind for our state, and it represents an amazing opportunity for our students in Nebraska to be able to pursue their career aspirations to be a veterinarian without the burden of student loan debt. As part of the Elite 11 program, the College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources will award up to 25 scholarships to incoming freshmen starting this academic year. And these students have an aspiration to serve rural Nebraska as a veterinarian. As part of this award, they will receive 50% of their tuition will be covered for the first 2 years, and they will pursue a degree in animal science or veterinary science. They will also participate in a professional development program. We know that it's key to have mentorship, to have immersive learning experiences, and then also to be able to have job shadowing and internship opportunities with our amazing veterinarians across the state of Nebraska. After completing the second year of their program, they will compete for one of the 11 slots in the Elite 11 program. Those selected to be a part of this program will first earn a scholarship to cover the remaining 2 years of their bachelor degree program. They will earn a spot in our professional program in veterinary medicine, which is a 2+2 DVM program in partnership with Iowa State University. And then finally, through the generosity of state funding, they will not have to pay for their DVM program. The tuition and the fees will be covered. So again, this is making dreams come possible for our students in the state of Nebraska. Upon completion of their DBM, they will pursue a career pathway serving the great state of Nebraska as an animal production veterinarian across rural areas that are in desperate need to have additional workforce in this space. So again, this is an amazing program. It's going to have a big impact on our state, for the agricultural industry, and for the next generation of production animal veterinarians. So again, we appreciate the governor, we appreciate the state, and I also want to give a big shout out to the working group, which includes veterinarians that are part of the Nebraska Veterinary Medicine Association, our talented team with our School of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences, and the Department of Animal Science, as well as the administration at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. Really excited to introduce a good friend of mine, Dr. Larry Marshall, a ground zero workforce to make things happen, and has been one of a number of food animal veterinarians across the state saying, hey, we have a significant problem. We have to get to the table and solve it. So Larry, appreciate all your leadership behind the scenes.
Since most of my patients don't have great conversations with me, I thought I'd better bring some notes. And actually, I was practicing this morning in the shower. And sure enough, you can't practice without having a microphone. So I had the shampoo bottle in my hand and dropped the shampoo bottle right on my big toe. At the same time, my wife was walking into the bathroom, and she said, "Surely you're not going to say that today, are you?" Good afternoon. Thanks for reporting on this. This is a wonderful day. I myself am a solo practicing veterinarian in Bertrand. Bertrand is about 150 miles west of here, just south of the Platte River. I've been there since 1985. I bought the practice from a retiring veterinarian. And over the past 39 years, I've employed 9 different associates. Those 9 associates stayed anywhere with me from 4 months to as long as 2.5 years, and left for various reasons. A couple of them went to the USDA to work in Food Safety Inspection Service, protecting our meat supply there. 4 of them moved back to their hometowns, their home communities. And that seems to be kind of the resolving gong that's out there, is that people that are from rural areas want to stay in rural areas, and they want to oftentimes go back to their hometowns. The last 5 years, I've had an ad out for an associate and have received 2 applications. Neither of those applications were quite the right fit, so we didn't come to any kind of an agreement. But the point is that my plight, trying to find an associate, is shared up and down the areas of rural Nebraska with other veterinarians. And we've shared stories for years. We've complained about it. We've griped about it. We've tried some different plans, and really none of them have worked. And so this is a plan that I'm happy with. I think it's going to get to the root of the problem, and it's going to help solve that problem. Another story. This fall of 23, in October, I suffered an Achilles tendon tear. So I was at work, facing 3 months of busy work, and there I was, 2 weeks in a cast with crutches, 8 weeks in a walking boot, and facing a lot of clients that had a lot of expectations of me. Fortunately, I belong to a Facebook veterinary forum called the Vet Truck, which is a number of veterinarians that are practicing bovine medicine. I put a plea out, I put an ask out. I said, hey, is there any young folks out there that are interns or veterinarians that are looking for some food animal experience. Would you like to come out and spend 8 weeks with me? And I will mentor you. I will give you the reins to practice and to improve your skills. And within 24 hours, I got a call from a young lady from Ohio. 2 days later, she drove 14 hours and joined me for the next 8 weeks. It was a wonderful experience for her. It was a good experience for me. It saved my bacon for sure. And we even talked about her staying. But when push came to shove, she said, you know, I just need to go back home. She's from rural Ohio. She grew up in a small town. She's got an opportunity to go back there and practice. And that right there, that's the resounding sound that we hear all the time, is that you want to go back home when you're from a rural area. I practiced 17 miles from where I grew up. If I look around a 100-mile radius of Bertrand, I find all sorts of veterinarians that are living either close to home or in a neighboring community or in a community that's very similar to the one they grew up in. And that's the reality of trying to recruit these veterinarians. If they're not from Nebraska, if they're not from rural Nebraska, this is not maybe the place for them. We had a slogan a few years ago that said, Nebraska, it's not for everyone. I would step that up a notch and say, rural Nebraska, it's not for all graduate veterinarians, unless you grew up there. This problem, my story, stories of my colleagues, that's the reason why I'm excited about this program. Our goal is to find, cultivate, educate, mentor, and lead these students down a path that will make them be successful food animal veterinarians in rural Nebraska. The young men and women that we're looking for are kids that grew up working hard, long summers on the ranch or the farm, chores to do, responsibilities, getting up when the weather's inclement and taking care of those things that need taken care of. Those are the kind of kids that we're looking for. And those young people, they want to go back to their home communities and serve there. When Governor Pillen attended one of our meetings and brought to us the good news that we had funding, probably if there hadn't been rules against having alcohol on the university campus, we probably would have popped open a champagne. That was the greatest news ever. It was celebratory for sure. And this committee that I work with, what an amazing group of people. Mike Boehm, I really appreciate you. Mike's, every time he opens his mouth and interjects his thoughts, it's like opening up the book of Proverbs and having King Solomon tell you something. He's just wise beyond his years. This is fun for me. I've been away from education for 40 years. And so it's fun to be a part of a committee with these highly educated and highly motivated people. Tiffany, wonderful leader for our group. We have meetings that go on for a couple hours, and I leave those meetings, my head is spinning, and hardly an hour goes by, and she's got an email fired off to us all that summarizes that meeting. Tiffany, if I could just get a teaspoon of your energy and put it in my coffee every morning, I could practice another 20 years. So I would like to conclude by making an ask. When Governor Pillen was campaigning for governor, early in his campaign, he came to Bertrand and actually spoke to a group of my colleagues, my friends, my clients, and he put an ask out. He said, if you believe that I could be a good candidate for governor, would you please go out and tell 11 people? The number 11 keeps coming up with this guy. I'm not sure what's up with that. So, that was a successful strategy. So skirt-tailing on that strategy, I would like to issue a challenge to all the rural veterinarians, all the veterinarians in Nebraska that are doing what I do day in and day out, and would ask you to find 11 touch points, 11 opportunities to reach out, whether it's your FFA group, whether it's a VOAG class, a 4-H club. Get a hold of the guidance counselors. And if you know any young people out there that have expressed any interest in veterinary medicine, call them, text them. Reach out to at least 11, and we can spread this news, and we can share this great opportunity that's out there across the state of Nebraska. Thank you.
I think Dr. Marshall can sing in the shower really well. That was awesome. When you have ideas as a governor, you have to have partners, and really grateful for Senator Ibaugh. She understands the challenges not only in her district, but in rural Nebraska. So really appreciative of your passion for it, Senator Ibaugh.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Williams' story is not unfamiliar to me, because I have, traveling over rural Nebraska, I represent a very rural district. And traveling over that district the last couple of years, I've had several veterinarians just like him say, what can we do to attract more veterinarians in rural Nebraska and in my district? And I would also be remiss if I didn't say I was an alum of the University of Nebraska, so anything I can do. I have 3 children and a husband that are graduates of East Campus, and I'm very proud of them as well. Almost had a veterinarian, but he had flat feet and didn't think that he could stand up that many years. So anyway, thank you, Governor. Thank you, Vice Chancellor Boehm. He's been very, very helpful in helping me understand the program. Dean Hang-Moss, I think I echo your comments. If I could have a teaspoon of her every morning, I would have the same ambition. But they've recognized the growing need to attract these and support these individuals to provide large animal veterinarian services in Nebraska. My piece is a little bit different, because I took the angle as senator, and as a rural senator representing District 44, and I am a cattle producer, you're right, I recognize the need to do something to remedy this issue, and consequently I introduced LB 1062 before we all connected and got on the same page to address this need. And so in a lot of the testimony in the hearing, we heard that surrounding states like Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, who are all agricultural states too, they all offer these incentive programs, and they work very hard to attract vet students, and maybe even some of ours. And those practicing veterinary numbers in their states, the practicing veterinary numbers well exceed what Nebraska has. So when you put all those dynamics and those percentages together, you think, what is the solution? And so I'm pleased that we all recognize the urgency to meet these needs, and our ag community in Nebraska is growing. It continues to grow, and we continue to support it in all areas that we can. And this venture, I know, will champion, and it will support those students across our state who see the importance of serving in this really vital industry. So anyway, I look forward to working with everyone. All of these folks we're all in this together, as the governor always says. And I look forward to supporting this very, very important initiative. And I appreciate your help too. I would be remiss if I didn't point out 8 students from NCTA in Curtis, which is also in my district, but their ag students were out there. They're visiting the Capitol today. So thank you guys for attending, and thank you all very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Senator Ibaugh. I want to give a couple shout outs. Director Albin of Department of Labor, his team will be a part of the administration of the dollars and making sure that the program's carried out effectively. I also want to give a shout out to Director Vinton for being here. Thank you, Sherry, and Chancellor Bennett. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I think that a couple things maybe for clarification. We will start out with the program early with the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, but the goal will be, if we go on to talk about One Nebraska, that students that are in every program in Nebraska, if you do 2 years at Curtis, that eventually if that's your goal, that you would become eligible and be able to make that happen. And I think number two, this program has to deliver on graduates. This program has to deliver to have 11 food animal veterinarians a year enter into the workforce. And for the scholarship, each young student's got to make a commitment. Not a halfway, not a partial way, that each young student is going to make a commitment to practice food animal veterinary medicine in rural Nebraska for 8 years. If you get to 7.5 years and can't make it to 8, you owe your scholarship back. It's going to be black and white Nebraska way. I think those are pieces that are really important, and I'm really excited about the development and getting kids. And so what's really important is to inspire young people to understand what an extraordinary career, what an extraordinary quality of life that you have by playing a big role in food animal production and food security. So really can't say thank you enough to everybody for the work and the development, and let's get kids lined up. I think this concludes our press conference. Happy to take questions from any press. Thank you for the press for being here and spreading the word. We're very grateful. Questions? Chris?
This might be for
Yep.
Tiffany. You said that students would have to major in animal science or veterinary science. It means some students enter college, maybe they're not quite sure what they want to do. Is there an opportunity available for kids who, in the middle of their second year, say, hey, I'm interested in being a vet, and they get into the program?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the question was, the matriculation pathway as outlined for incoming freshmen is to pursue either a degree in animal science or veterinary science. We believe that that's best going to position them to serve animal production needs across the state of Nebraska. Hopefully, as we are able to build upon this program by securing additional funding, just as was mentioned by the governor, we'll identify additional access points of entry for students. I would also remind everyone that we do have slots in our professional program in veterinary medicine, in which we do have opportunities for students who matriculate maybe not in one of those programs early on, but they discover their passion and their interest, and there's an opportunity for them to compete to be a part of our professional program in veterinary medicine also. But more details to come as we develop out this program, so thanks for the question.
And how was the 8 years settled on? A lot of teacher incentive programs might be 5 years at a rural school. How did you settle on that?
Yeah, I think it was a collaboration of conversation. My idea was 10 years. I think there were other ideas, and I think we settled on 8 years being a good commitment. It's a significant investment for the state, significant investment, and we have to solve the problem. Food security, that's the heart and soul of the state of Nebraska, is food security, and without food animal veterinarians, and that's a piece of making a reasonable commitment. I think, Chris, the other piece of this that's really important is that if you're a young person growing up in the center of a large metropolitan area in Nebraska, you're going to have to be able to have a history of being out at Grandpa's in the ranch or somewhere of significant time, that you understand rural Nebraska, because every other state's been unsuccessful simply because they've brought candidates and then they go out to rural, and then 2 months in they go, this isn't for me, and all the money invested just vaporizes and the students go back into small animal medicine. That can't happen here.
So is this scholarship only for students from rural areas?
The scholarship would be focused where students are going to be successful living in rural communities and practicing in rural communities, and they'll have to demonstrate that they have experience spending time in rural communities, because if the hardcore reality, the data points are crystal clear, if you live in downtown Lincoln, the chances of experiencing the qualities and being successful in any rural communities not as great. Andrew?
Have you guys put any pencil to paper as to how much this could be worth a person a veterinary, when you include the loan cost, repayment costs?
Does anybody, do we have a number yet, Tiffany? I mean, we're roughly $30.25 million.
Yeah, so the question was the investment that the state of Nebraska is making in these individuals that have the opportunity to pursue this pathway. So the governor's correct. It's about $250,000 when you think about the 8-year investment that's being made with tuition and then also covering the fees for the DVM program.
And then when you look up from the other side of the student and the loans they would have to take out to pay for that, what's that worth to the student after they have to repay all those loans?
What do you want to take? Maybe we should have a practicing veterinarian step up to take that.
Okay, let me make sure I got the question correct. So you're asking what would that loan forgiveness, what value would it have?
Well, I'm just saying, if you were to go through the regular way, the student was going through the regular way, and they racked up $250,000 worth of debt. After you pay off your loan, how much would the student have paid off totally, as a veterinarian, to become a veterinarian?
Still maybe not clear about your question, but are you asking what, if they had a $250,000 debt, and then plus the interest, what would that be worth to them? Well, that's a good question, because I was lucky. I only had a $26,000 student debt 40 years ago. The young lady that I alluded to that came from Ohio, she went a little different path in her education, actually received some of her education in the Caribbean, and then finished her senior year at Auburn. She has $300,000 worth of student debt. I think if you look at studies that have been done on the student debt load that most veterinary students graduate with, it would probably be somewhere between 120 and 200,000. Does that sound right, Dr. Renee? Yeah. So and then you pay that off over 20 years. I'm sure the interest accumulated, it would be worth a lot. It would be I can't put a monetary value on it, but it's a biggie. And so, yeah, anybody that receives this Elite 11 program is going to be, hopefully coming out of school debt-free, able to invest themselves into a small community, buy a house, raise a family, and not have that hanging over their head.
I think, Andrew, maybe the easiest way to think about it is whether it was back in Larry and I's day, anybody that goes through that professional curriculum, you accrue debt that's equal to a house payment. It's about that simple. So it's a big deal. Yes.
What took the state and university or the university so long to finally create this?
That's a great, the question was what took the state and the university so long to create this? I think that the best answer I can have for you is here's what's awesome about the state of Nebraska. I don't care what the problem is. When there's enough of us that understand the need, we come together and get it figured out 100% of the time. So I think that took a little while for everybody to understand the need. Probably being the first governor from agriculture in 100 years in the state of Nebraska didn't hurt.
That was just going to become my follow-up. You coming from that veterinarian background, how much did your input play into this program and kind of how it looks today?
Well, I think being a part of it, number one, it's a 100% full team approach. It's the only way things get done in Nebraska is a full team, but I had a head start. It's been my life, and I understood it fairly well, but I understood it a lot more once I would sit and visit with Larry and other people. What are you doing in the association? And hey, we're working hard to try to figure this out. So the more I understood the numbers, said, hey, let's try to figure this out. Yes.
Question for you, Governor, or the veterinarian. What are the challenges that have led us to this shortage in rural America and rural Nebraska today?
The question is, what are the challenges in the country and in rural for veterinarians?
For I suppose, a lack of interest. Dr. Bay mentioned the 13% interest going into veterinary school.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a couple things I would say, and I'd invite Larry and Tiffany to answer. My perspective would be, the market's the market, whether you like the market or not. And the hardcore market reality is when you get a doctorate in veterinary medicine and you got $250,000, $300,000 of debt, you go to where the best paying jobs, and the best paying jobs are in the large cities where there's a high demand for human-animal bond. And so, and quite honestly, it's, depending upon how you grow up, it would appear to be a little more better quality of life. Now, my view would be being out taking care of mama cows is a better quality of life, but that'd be the hardcore. And the data is crystal clear. I think out of the 26 students graduating, maybe one a year has been going back. So, and again, that's just not been a Nebraska problem. And I think part of it as well is the acceptance standards into veterinary school. It's very, very difficult. Only the highest scoring. And so that's why it's going to have to be a different approach for the acceptance, because there's students that score really, really high from large metropolitan schools. We need students that can be that aren't at the highest scoring. They have other criteria that's important to be a food animal veterinarian. I think we've missed that in this process as well. Anything else anybody'd like to add?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no short answer to that. We have been discussing this as a profession for quite some time, and trying to come up with ways of solving it. And to your question of why do we have this terrific shortfall? Why are graduates not interested in doing this? Number one, it is hard work. It's really hard work. It's physical. I've got 2 new knees. I've had shoulder surgery on both. But yet, still, all that being said, that's not the story I want to tell. I want to shout out to the rooftops that this is a great profession. I raised 3 children in Bertrand. I have grandchildren that are now growing up in small communities right next to Bertrand. And so it's a great lifestyle. It's a great thing that you can do for your community and for your producers. My phone has been ringing off the wall with texts and calls since I left this morning. It's calving season, so it's good to be needed, but there's only one of me, and there needs to be more of me. So I think this is a program that hopefully reaches out to those kids. And one of the other factors in this has been that agriculture has been pretty good to our young people the last 20 years. Since I've been in Bertrand, I have a lot of young people that I've watched graduate from high school, and they've come back to the farm, and they're doing well. And so there's maybe a bit of a disincentive to go spend 8 years in college and maybe not come out any further ahead financially than what you would if you just stayed on the farm. So that's been a challenge. I came out of veterinary school in 1984. The farm crisis was on, and my parents told me when I graduated from high school, go find a career. There's not much back here on the farm. That's changed, so that's been challenging. So we're competing with some of those same young people. But this incentive is going to be big, because finances was always a part of everyone's decisions. And 8 years of school and $200,000 worth of student debt looks pretty insurmountable to young people.
I'll just follow up to Dr. Marshall's comments. One barrier that we do know for our amazing youth across the state of Nebraska is financial constraints. And so I think we should not lose sight of this being an amazing investment that our state is making, and it's providing access opportunities for those that might typically take on a huge student debt loan. And so it's positioning them for success as soon as they graduate. The other piece that's really important to think about this program is it's an 8-year investment in creating the talent to serve the great state of Nebraska in animal production veterinarians. And so as we mentioned, the program includes professional development opportunities. So there's mentoring with practicing veterinarians. They get to learn about the industry. They get to have immersive experiences that are going to start from day one when they join the College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources. And then also internships and job shadowing. So I think, Bryce, those are some of the exciting things that I look forward to with this program.
Yes, sir.
Where is the money from the state coming from to fund this program?
It came in, like I say, in partnership with the Unicameral Appropriations Committee out of the general budget, general fund. That was appropriated last year, a $10 million fund where $4 million went to recruiting for teacher scholarships, $4 million for teacher scholarships, $4 million for nursing scholarships, and $2 million for food animal veterinarians.
And then for the university side, how many students, or do you know how many students are interested in this program already?
That's a great question. It's about interest in this program. And so starting tomorrow, we are going to go live on our Kasner website, so kasner.unl.edu, and we will be accepting applications. And our goal is, as Dr. Marshall said, we kind of use the help of every veterinarian to get the word out. What we know is that our already admit list for the college across, when you look at our pre-veterinary medicine program, veterinary science at the bachelor's level, as well as animal science, there's over 200 students that have already been admitted into the program. So I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to identify 25 to kickstart this program.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for being here, and it's a shout out to the young people in back. Thanks for coming to Lincoln. Thanks for learning about the Capitol. Maybe let me share this with you. This Capitol is the people's house. It's extraordinary, and it's important for everybody to take a moment and have an appreciation for what we're around. So we're in the Werner Chambers, and maybe just take a look up and take in the extraordinary mosaics that and what this room represents. So this room's extraordinary. It represents our Native American culture, Native Americans that were here before Nebraska was founded. And then as you go and look at all the murals around the Capitol, take one in, because there's a mural that represents each one of our lives and our stories. And so I think it's cool if you can find a mural that is about you, that's your special mural. So this is the people's house, and I'm a little biased, but I don't think it takes a second to anywhere in the country. So make sure you enjoy, and thank you young folks for being a part of this. I think it's awesome. Thanks everybody for being here today. Congratulations. Really, really cool stuff. Thank you.